Hi, this is Dave Kay with a look at the Leatherman Supertool series and the way that the Supertool has evolved through 4 different models now to resemble the Supertool 300, which is currently Leatherman's latest release. Supertool was originally introduced in 1994 to be a bigger, stronger version of the original pocket survival tool, the PST, and was intended to appeal to professionals. So although there are similarities in appearance to the PST, it's basically a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and it incorporates locking tools for the first time. This was the first time that Leatherman offered locking components on their tools. The locking mechanism was pretty primitive. Basically consists of a back string here which latches into a cutout recess on the back of each tool component. They all have that, so they all lock. The release mechanism involves raising another tool which effectively pushes the lock back up, freeing that one so the tool can be collapsed. It's a bit awkward, but actually with a worn-in tool, this one is actually sort of barely used, but with a well-worn tool that actually becomes quite easy to do and second nature. And although this tool hasn't been manufactured or sold by Leatherman since the year 2000, there are still a lot of these, and a lot of people refuse to upgrade and love their super tools. It is crude. It did, however, achieve what they set out to do. You've got much stronger set of pliers. Again, this is quite a late model, so they've incorporated a hardwire cutting notch into the pliers. The clipboard blade that you've seen, there's a fairly heavy duty awl, several screwdrivers which are a bit stronger than those found on the PST. A good file, good size file. In the other handle we've got a serrated blade, a Cannon bottle opener, a Phillips screwdriver, a small flathead screwdriver, and a fairly aggressive saw, which I can vouch for. I can promise you that works very well. As with the PST, it's very simple. All the tools open from the inside. Put it into place, and that's actually gives you a very comfortable grip. You can get quite a lot of torque on that, and it is a tough driver. So the Supertool remained in production until the year 2000, at which point it was replaced by the Supertool 200. Just one thing that I forgot to mention there. There is a little design problem with the Leatherman Supertool, and if you open all of the tools so they lock on one handle, then you don't have another tool to raise to release the lock. So there is a Q&A section on the Leatherman website on leatherman.com which explains that to deal with that you need to insert a screwdriver under there, lift the lock to release the tool. So as you can see, it was a long way from perfect, but it really was Leatherman's and one of the first locking multi-tools available from any manufacturer. The Supertool 200, as I say, was introduced in the year 2000, and you can see that basically they've beefed it up quite a bit. Externally you've got one feature that you'll spot straight away, and that's these rather ornate lock releases. The tools inside are very similar. In fact, I believe they may be identical. I'll just check that. Yeah, they're absolutely identical to those that were present in the original Supertool. But they have been redesigned to be more effective. The serrated blade on the Supertool 200 is really a very effective blade. Rather than having to release an adjacent tool to release the lock, although I'll just show you that still does work, the Supertool 200 is a little bit more sophisticated because you get this release mechanism there, and as you can see, quite simply just lifts up that back lock, which enables you to close the tool. Again, this one's very tight because it's practically new. I've got some others around where they've loosened up and are a lot more convenient to use. Very similar clip point blade. Same file. The plier head, as you can see, this being a later version of the Supertool and this being an early Supertool 200, there's very little difference there. They could even be the same plier heads, in fact. So essentially the Supertool 200 slightly stronger. I think there's a bit more thickness in the blades, but the main difference is the slightly improved lock release mechanism, which a lot of people really don't get on with at all. There is a bit of a knack to it. If you end up picking up one of these tools, persevere with it. It does get easier.